This is Steve Piloff from George Mason University. Let's talk about the future value with multiple cash flows. What this really means is how much will we have at some point t if we put in investments at different points in time. And it's simply the sum of the individual future values. So whatever money we put in today, how much will it be at time t? It'll be this times 1 plus r to the t. 1 year later, we put some money in. How much will that accumulate to, compound to at time t? Well, C1, well, from here to here, there's t minus 1 periods because it's coming in 1 period. So it'd be C1 times 1 plus r to the t minus 1. In 2 periods, we put in that amount. It would compound for t minus 2 periods because it's going to miss out on those periods. And from here to here, it's t minus 2. C2 times 1 plus r to the t minus 2. Finally, at time t minus 1, this guy goes in the account, compounds for 1. And then finally, at time t, you might put some money in, and it has no time to account. You'd say to the bank, here's my money. Now give me all my money. It would have a chance to compound. So conceptually, this is what's going on. This is the formula, and hopefully you're not intimidated by it. The cash flow at time 0, you can think of it as the amount you put in the account at time 0, will compound for t periods, if we want to know how much we'll have in t periods. Put some in 1 period later, it only has t minus 1 periods to compound. Put it in 2 periods, it only has t minus 2. If you put it in at any point in time, it only has t minus k. So suppose you want to know how much you'll have in 8 years, and you put some money in 6, it'll only get to compound from 6 to 7 to 8. And finally, the t minus 1, it compounds for 1, and that last guy doesn't get a chance to compound at all. So you're just adding up individual future values. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. So you want to know how much you'll have in 10 years. So how much will I have in 10 years? That's when you plan to start school. If you just got a high school graduation gift of $500, you expect to receive a college graduation gift of $1,000 in 4 years. So in 4 years from now, you're going to graduate, and your grandmother's given $1,000 to your brothers and sisters and your cousins, and she said she's going to do it for you, so you expect $1,000, and you can earn 8%. You want to know how much you'll have in 10 years. Well, we'll do the equation in a second, but it's just 500, and that'll have a chance to compound for 10 years, so 500 times 1.08. So the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. So 500 times 1.08 to the 10th plus 1,000 times 1.08 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1,000, because it's going in 4 years, it only has 6 years to compound until 10 years from now. And so 500 compounded for 10 years at 8% would be 1,079.46 in 10 years. $1,000 compounded at 8% for 6 years. When we showed up 6 years later, it would be 1,586.87. Add the two, and we would have $2,666.33 in 10 years. I'm going to use the financial calculator. Put in 500. 10 years later, at 8%, you'd wind up with 1079.46. Put in 1,000. You don't know how much you'll have in 10 years, but you invest in 4, so it's only invested for 6 years. At 8%, 1586.87, and then you add them up. Let's take a look at another example. So Supriya is going to invest $5,000 today. The account can earn 12% interest per year, and she expects to make another investment in the same account in 4 years. So we got our classic mystery cash flow. How much does she expect to invest in 4 years? What's the mystery cash flow? If she expects to have $20,000 in her account in 9 years from today. So basically, what we know is 5,000 times 1.12 to the 9th captures what the 5,000 will compound to, plus the mystery cash flow times 1.12 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the fifth is how much the mystery cash flow will grow to, and the sum of or compound to, the sum of these two is equal to 20,000. So in equation terms, 20,000 is equal to what the 5,000 will compound to, plus what the mystery cash flow will compound to. Well, 5,000 over 9 years will compound to 13,865. If this plus this is equal to 20,000, subtract 13,865, we know that this term right here, has to compound to 6135. That guy becomes 13,865. The two of them together is 20,000, so therefore the mystery cash flow has to be 6135. And so now we know what's the cash flow that if we put in and it compounds for 5 years, then 5 years later will be 6135. So all you have to do is divide both sides by 1.12 to the fifth, and you see that if we put in 3481, so we've got our 5,000, and it'll become 13,865. We put in our 3481 4 years later, and it'll become 6135, giving us 20,000, which is what she expects to have.